Last time, we ran one simulation of this World Cup and got a result nobody saw coming. So this time, we didn't run it once. We ran it 10,000 times. And when you zoom out from a single chaotic bracket to 10,000 of them, a completely different story starts to emerge. Two teams in particular kept showing up in the final over and over again. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why. Why one simulation isn't enough. Here's the thing about that Morocco run we showed you before. It was real, it was possible. Our model genuinely produced it. But here's what a single simulation can never tell you. Was that result a realistic outcome, or a complete outlier that happened to land at one specific time? That's exactly why this video exists. Run the bracket once and you get a story. Run it 10,000 times and you get the truth. So we fed the same inputs back in: current form, squad depth, key players, home advantage for the co-hosts, and let it play out again and again, 10,000 times over. The long shots. Let's deal with the fairy tales first, because people are going to ask. Morocco, the team that won our single simulation, actually only reached the final in a small handful of those 10,000 runs. Real, possible, but genuinely rare, somewhere in low single digits as a percentage. Cabo Verde, the smallest nation left in the tournament, reaching the final at all happened in barely a fraction of 1% of simulations, which honestly makes what we showed you last time even more remarkable, not less. These runs aren't fake, they're just what happens at the extreme edge of 10,000 possibilities. The story you remember from a single simulation is almost never the team that shows up most when you zoom out. The real contenders. So who actually dominates when you run this enough times? On one side of the bracket, it's not really close. One team reached the final in roughly a third of every single simulation we ran, more than any other team in the entire field. Defending champions, a roster with almost no weaknesses, and a captain playing what's almost certainly the last World Cup of his career, which our model treats as a real factor, not just a sentimental one. Players chasing a final chapter have historically performed above their normal output. On the other side of the draw, three teams kept fighting for that same spot over and over. A team built around overwhelming squad depth, a five-time champion looking to add a sixth star, but with real inconsistency baked into their results, and a team anchored by one of the most explosive attacking players on the planet. When we tallied all 10,000 runs, one of those three pulled clearly ahead of the other two, not by a landslide, but enough that it wasn't close to a coin flip either. The two teams. So here they are, the two teams that reached the World Cup final more often than anyone else across 10,000 simulated tournaments: Argentina and France. Argentina topped the most frequent finalist list on their side of the draw by a wide margin. Their combination of squad balance, knockout stage experience as defending champions, and a captain playing with something to prove made them the model's most consistent pick from the very first round all the way through. And on the other side, France edged out both Germany and Brazil. Their attacking ceiling, led by arguably the single most dangerous player left in this tournament one-on-one, gave them the kind of high-scoring ceiling that wins simulations even when the underlying squad numbers are close to even. Why these two, and what it would mean? Think about what this final actually represents if it happens. Two of the most dominant individual players of this entire generation, leading their countries, on opposite sides of the same pitch, for the biggest prize in the sport. It's not a guaranteed outcome. Nothing in 10,000 simulations is guaranteed. That's the whole point of running it that many times. But it is, statistically, the single most likely final this tournament can produce, by a real margin over every other combination we tested. So there it is. Out of every possible path this World Cup could take, Argentina and France showed up in the final more than anyone else. Not because it makes the best headline, but because the numbers actually back it up. Does that match what you think is going to happen? Drop your own predicted finalists in the comments and subscribe to Pitch 97. We'll be tracking every one of these predictions as the real knockout rounds unfold.